Welcome to Refined Resilience. I'm your host, Carrie Hill, and on this podcast, we highlight the small moments that shape our journey toward greatness and remind us that resilience isn't linear. Each episode features stories of perseverance and the little victories that often go unnoticed, illustrating that resilience is about finding strength in everyday life. Well, hello, everyone. I am so excited, as I always am, to bring to you a fantastic guest on this episode. I have Jill Shulman, who is a former U.S. Marine Corps officer, leadership development expert, and founder of Breakthrough Leadership Group. She specializes in the science of bravery, resilience, and peak performance, integrating insights from psychology, neuroscience, and behavioral science to provide practical tools for individuals and teams. Her upcoming book, The Science of Bravery, offers evidence-based strategies for cultivating a courageous mindset and overcoming fear. Believing that bravery is essential for a fulfilling life, she encourages people to embrace challenges and step outside of their comfort zones. With the motto, courage over regret, she empowers others to pursue their true desires and confront their fears head on. She has spoken on countless stages and has an impressive list of clients. Outside of her professional pursuits, Jill enjoys hiking in Southern California, sharing laughter with her husband and 2 daughters, and immersing herself in Stoic philosophy and research.
And I should say, I love hiking in Utah as
Everywhere.
well.
You just like hiking. That's right.
I do.
Jill, thank you so much for being here. You are in Utah, and it's a lucky treat for me that we get to sit here for this short hour of time and spend time together outside of your normal habitat. So Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Are you having a good time?
I'm already having, we had such a great conversation before we got started, so I can't wait to dig into it more. I'm already having so much fun.
Good. I'm so glad. Well, I am really excited to talk about the connection between bravery and resilience. And so there's so much to what you're offering people. And, you mentioned we were talking off camera before, and there's all kinds of light bulbs that are just going off in my head about your work. And so I want to give people an opportunity to really get a preview of your work and your book. And so we're just gonna start for the reason that you wrote this book, The Science of Bravery.
So the primary reason I decided to write this book is I feel like there is a gap in teaching people practical strategies on how they can be brave or how they can overcome fears that are holding them back from getting what they really want. There's a lot of different speakers or people out there that share their stories of look at what I've done, just be brave and do it. But that isn't enough. When we look at the research, someone can be inspired by a story and it could maybe inspire them to take a step, but a lot of people might leave someone's keynote going, wow, I feel so inspired, but then they go back to their life and then fear holds them back. So I wanted to be able to provide people with a roadmap of how to build bravery. And then the other thing that comes to mind is I believe that there is a incorrect assumption that in order for people to have their best life, the highest levels of happiness and well-being, that comfort is the path to happiness and well-being. And I feel, especially with our younger generations, that there might be this assumption that to have a great life, to be really happy, I just want all adversity to go away. I want
to be very zen.
I want like self-care days every day.
Right.
And it's just not true when we look at the evidence. Someone that has studied positive psychology, which is a study of happiness and well-being, I can tell you and your audience with scientific certainty that if you want the happiest life, if you want to have the highest levels of life satisfaction, you need to get uncomfortable. So you need to step out of your comfort zone and face your fears to accomplish hard things that are really meaningful to you. So kind of a combination of these two things is I just want the world, and I think the world's we're getting a little too soft. And I think there's a lot of media out there talking about just self-care and be too easy on yourself. And the pendulum can swing a little bit too far in that direction. So I want people to know, what does the science tell us, which is stepping outside of your comfort zone and doing challenging things that are really meaningful to you
Right.
is the key to unlocking the highest levels of happiness.
I
and
love
well-being.
that. For you, Jill, and I'm assuming that there was some experience in your life that really put you into the space of being interested in studying bravery. And so was there something personal that kind of launched you into this space?
Well, I did start my career as a Marine. So
Yeah.
people think, did you just...
Which, by the way, thank you for your service.
thank you
I
for
grew up in the
saying.
Army, and so I really value
Okay.
I really value the service. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, so choosing my first career as a United States Marine, was I just born brave? And I'll say that, I've always been ambitious, but bravery is really defined. First, let's talk about what is bravery.
Yeah.
Bravery is defined, and I will quote Marty Seligman and Chris Peterson. They've got a definition that I really like, both psychologists. And bravery is defined as not being fearless. So that's a misnomer too, like, I'm brave, I don't have any fear. Bravery is defined as taking courageous steps in the face of fear.
Yeah.
So in the presence of fear, when you have some fear, you're taking a step forward towards something that's meaningful to you or aligns with your values. So that's what bravery is. It's
uncomfortable.
And it's uncomfortable. Yeah. So for me and my background, I mean, yes, taking a step into the Marine Corps was scary, and there's some fear there. And I was able to overcome that and become a Marine, but there's been so many steps. Like when I decided to actually get out of the Marine Corps, that was one of the scariest steps I ever took. Because when you really know the military, you get really comfortable.
Yeah.
And then stepping out to the corporate world, I was so scared.
Right.
Like, am I going to make it?
Right.
And then when I left corporate America and started my own business, right? Another huge uncomfortable step to start my own business. And now, like, I'm writing a book, I'm on podcasts, I'm getting on stages with thousands of people. These are all like brave steps. So just getting out of the comfort zone, but every step that I've taken, it's been moving in the direction of what I think is really meaningful and how I can bring the most value.
Yeah. So it sounds like bravery's just kind of always been in you.
Yeah, but
a little bit, because I think there's this beautiful thing that happens, I think, for inherently brave people, and not everybody is born with that gene. We all have to develop it in different ways, right? But I think there are some more brave people in the world than others. And I think when you have that gift, if you will, that quality trait, it's easier to be uncomfortable. It's easier to move into those spaces, And so what I love that you just described, though, is that it was scary for you to make a job transition. That's a normal, everyday experience that people all over the world are experiencing, having to lose a job, get fired from a job, move into a different job, right? Like they're not big, huge things that are happening necessarily. It's just, there's still things that you have to step into and be uncomfortable to deal with.
Yeah.
That's
life.
Yeah.
That's life. Life is going to be stressful. There's going to be challenges and adversity along the way, and we're not going to be able to remove them. So we had better develop the skill of bravery. And I mean, you brought up a good point. Like, some people might naturally have the character strength of bravery that's higher than others. But I also want to make the point that anyone can build bravery.
Yes.
Right. And,
yes.
and it's like a muscle. I use the analogy of, when you go into the gym and let's say you're not naturally built to be as strong or buff as some of your friends, but you go to the gym, and if you want to build up your physical strength, you don't just go into the gym and work out once and expect to come out like really have big muscles. It takes time to build it. So bravery is the same way. And we know that when we look at the neuroscience, when you step into discomfort, and each time you do that, your brain is learning, like, I am now having to use a different part of my brain. And each time you keep doing that, our brains are plastic, and I don't want to get too much into the anatomy of the brain, but you can actually build what I call the bravery muscle, but our brains can remodel to build that part of our brain with both new neural pathways and then also the cortical thickening. So, I mean, literally when I say you can build a bravery muscle, it doesn't mean actually your muscle, but it is the part of your body will change to adapt, and it will get easier over time.
Well, and going to that exact point, your body is meant to change and adapt. We weren't meant to just be beings that stayed in a comfortable space and never grew,
Yeah.
right? And never developed our soul and our critical thinking and our higher thinking and our higher learning. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you, in this book, specifically, walk us through, Jill, like, where does it start? You know, you said, and we talked about that before, sometimes we just walk away, and you mentioned it earlier, we feel so inspired by motivational speakers. And then you go home and you think, I don't know how to bridge the gap between being inspired and actually doing it on a daily basis and stepping into everyday life in a more courageous and brave way, right? So what does that journey look like for the reader when they're going to come into your book?
There's 3 dimensions to building bravery. So if you have a desire to be able to accomplish something or make a move or do something, but fear is holding you back. So how can you, what's that first step? So all 3 of these dimensions that I'll describe to you are interrelated. So you don't necessarily have to start with the first one. If you start with any of them, it has an impact on the others. But I always start with mindset first. No surprise, right? So I call it a brave mindset, but that's an umbrella terminology to really change the way you think first, your mindset. Because if you don't believe that it's possible that you can do something, then you're probably right. But if you believe it's possible, so we spend a lot of time helping people develop the mindset. So these are positive psychology interventions or techniques that have been demonstrated in empirical trials that actually can help change the mindset, which is the first step. And so, I'll just kind of list off the ones that I go over in my book, and I can nerd out a little bit here, but the first one is
nerd out. Girl.
Yeah, nerd
just
out.
Do
just
it.
nerd out, because I'm just a nerd. So let me just be me. So the first one is really getting into growth mindset, which comes from Carol Dweck from Stanford, where, you know, her research talks about the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Fixed mindset is when someone says, I'm just not brave. If you believe that, like, I'm just not good at math, or I'm just not a runner, I could never run. Those are statements that say that this is just the way I'm born and it's nothing that I can change. So a growth mindset is believing that it's possible to achieve those things. I could be great at math. I could be a good runner. I could achieve this goal. I'm not there yet. So growth mindset is really well known, especially in education, with the power of yet. So I teach that little technique.
I love that.
Yeah. If, you know, you're not confident speaking in front of 100 people yet.
Do you know what? That is an active, I am personally actively trying to engage that word more in my life. And there is real power in that word.
There's so much power.
It's awesome. I feel like I do find myself being more confident using that word.
Yeah.
So it's hopeful.
Yeah. And when you say the word yet, you're like, whoa, that means that it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. But if I put some work and effort into it, I can get there. So it just opens up the door of possibilities.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
And the other things under brave mindset are also the stress is enhancing mindset. So there's a lot of research by Kelly McGonigal, Aaliyah Crum, and other researchers on if you view stress and adversity and challenges as negative things, then they will have a negative impact on your life. But if you view stress and challenges as things that make you stronger, you're going to have a more positive stress response, not only psychologically, but physiologically. So that's the changing the mindset on challenges are those moments that allow us to step up and become stronger.
Jill, can you speak to the word fear? What is fear? Like, we hear this word all the time, right? But I'd love to hear your opinion or your science. You know, what is fear?
Well, fear is anything that is holding you back from doing what you know is right, from what you want to do, because of, this could be fear of, like, many people think of it as physical, like as a former Marine or someone who's a firefighter, you're like, your fear is, danger. This is danger, like physically, but because we're not being chased by saber-toothed tigers anymore, the fear is usually psychological. The biggest fear that hold people back is fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of not being good enough. So it's whatever holds you back from taking action towards something that you really want.
Yeah, to come back into that negative belief system about the thing, whatever that thing is for you. Isn't that interesting when you dial it down that simply? Like, it's literally just what you believe.
It's what you believe.
It's what you believe.
And you're right. It's in the, you're talking about it's mindset.
Right.
So it is,
Yeah.
it's in your head, and everyone has fears,
Right.
right? Everyone has fears. So, but are we going to allow the fears to control our actions, or are we going to decide that it's uncomfortable, but I'm going to do it anyway, and we'll take that action, right?
Yeah.
And the other two things under Brave Mindset, and then we'll just kind of move on from there. So growth mindset, stress is enhancing mindset. The third thing is generating positive emotions. I think a lot of people incorrectly assume that emotions happen to me and there's nothing I can do. We have the power, this is Barbara Fredrickson's work, to generate emotions that best serve us. So, you know, this is where you hear gratitude a lot, like that's become very popular. Like if you choose to reflect on 3 good things that have happened to you over the past day, you can't be thinking about negative and positive. So that's just one example, but there's many different ways we can generate positive emotions to be more optimistic. So when you're thinking like, I can't do it, right? You can, there's some, you know, some things that we can do to try and get in an optimistic mindset instead of a pessimistic. And then the last thing is, under Brave Mindset, and there's a lot on the psychology side because of my psychology background, but it's also recognizing the voice in our heads, the self-talk. And instead of just listening to our self-talk, we should be talking to ourselves. So we can take control of the dialogue in our head, right? And people might think I'm crazy now, like there's voices in your head. Everyone has a voice in our head, and we have that self-talk. So instead of just being a victim and believing it, we need to be able to take control and start talking to ourselves instead of just listening to thoughts. So if people learn those 4 different things, it's their mindset is transformed, and then that they feel the fear won't go away, but they feel like it's possible for them to take action in the presence of that fear.
Well, and the fear, just having my own experiences in fear, right, is very, I really appreciate that you said emotions happen to me. I don't, and I'm sure that's well, you know, mentioned in the circles that you run in, but I've never looked at emotions happening to me. And that's such a beautiful way to say, well, it's again, that victim mindset. So if they're happening to me, that means I also have a response system. And I can say, if I'm going to assume that an emotion is happening to me, then I can also take action to do something back, right?
Exactly.
To take a different mindset, to grow.
It's just to be curious, like, oh, I'm feeling this emotion. So sometimes just naming the emotion, like what's the emotion I'm feeling? And I wonder why. Curious.
Yeah.
And then like, what emotional state do I want to be in right now to best serve me, my family, my colleagues, and to serve my goals?
Yeah.
And what are the things I can do to get into that positive emotion that's going to best serve me in life? You know, so we have a choice. Like sometimes we're going to experience negative emotions, and that's normal. And we want to experience them and go, that's interesting, right? And then we just kind of like let them pass, and then we can be active in generating the positive emotions that best serve us. So we have the control to do that. It's pretty empowering to think that.
No, I really, you know, there's been a lot of different ways that guests have said this, you know, same thing, but I love that the truth of the principle is the same. No matter how you say it, it is that we have control over how we respond, right? That's what we have control over, is how we respond. Totally. And so I know that leaning into those moments that I have felt fear, right? Fear of like, and it's normally always tied to survival in some capacity, right? The fear of surviving sometimes has limited in the past my ability to really thrive. Because it's interesting how those negative emotions can become extremely comfortable. So when we talk about, we don't want to do so much work because I'm comfortable where I'm at, you can be comfortable with being uncomfortable all the time.
Yes.
In when you're in that state of mind and operating in fear, you become familiar with the fear. And so then moving from the fear is like you have fear around moving from the fear.
Exactly. I love that. I love the way you frame that.
I'm afraid to move away from the fear thing.
It's kind of exhilarating. It's kind of exhilarating to be like, oh, here we go. Like it's a little scary, but it's
exciting.
It's exciting.
But that is the empowering movement, that small transition in everyday practical life that just pivots a tiny little bit so that you can lean in a little bit more to the thing that you're afraid of, the thing that you don't think you can do, the limiting belief, that you mentioned. The
self-limiting belief.
Yeah. So, what do you think, in your opinion, Jill, is the most practical, or I will say the most impactful of those 4 steps for people that you listed?
I always just start with growth mindset first, the power of yet. And then I just kind of layered on from there, because when we get into like developing positive emotions and optimism and then changing the dialogue in our head, that takes a little bit more work. So I start with just the power of yet. It just opens the door of possibility. It makes someone admit that yet means that I can do it in the future. So that's a starting point. And then it, so this is just like one of 3 dimensions. One is believing, and I love that you said just practical, because that is where there's so much science out there. And sometimes it gets too complex that I'm just confused. So I'm trying to take all the complexity of everything that's in psychology, positive psychology, and distill it down into like simple things to do. And that's what's in the book, of just like simple, like just take whatever that self-limiting belief you have is, I'm not good at that, or I can't do that. Yet, just add yet. Yeah. And that just opens the door of possibility to take the first step, which is brave action is the second dimension. And then brave relationships is the third. And the 3 of those things together, if you do the 3 of those things.
Let's talk about those 3 things. I love that. So the first one was the power of yet, and related was?
Oh, well, like brave mindset includes all 4 of the strategies, but the power of yet is just one of them. So one is just changing our mindset. Got it. But then have you ever talked with someone who they talk about their aspirations, they have vision boards, they have their dreams and their goals, but they never take a step forward.
Execute.
Yeah. So I want people to believe they can, but I don't want them to be stuck in dreamer state. We need them to take tangible actions. So the second dimension is called brave actions. And that is, this gets into practical things, which is you're going to set tangible goals that are challenging, right? And also meaningful. So the most important thing is when you believe that it's possible, then we got to actually write down like, what is a goal that you can accomplish in the next 6 to 9 months that is something that's measurable, something that is challenging, that really makes you uncomfortable, but it's possible, right? And then it has to be very meaningful. Angela Duckworth, who wrote the book Grit, if you've heard of that one, she says that if the only way that you can have the grit, the long-term passion and perseverance to achieve a goal is it needs to be meaningful. So as long as it's intrinsically motivating, something really meaningful to you, and it's challenging, like we got to set that goal, but there's more to it than that. Like, so once you set the goal, then you need the implementation intentions, which is an academic term to be like, to lay out the steps. Like, what are the things that I need to do tomorrow, this next week? So I feel like sometimes when we talk about developing bravery, setting the goals kind of like the inspiration, ooh, it's going to be really exciting, but now we need the perspiration, like we need to get to work. So what are all the steps that we need to take to make progress toward it? Some of it's going to be really fun. Some of it's going to be hard. And then this is from positive psychology. This is going to surprise you, coming from someone who's studies positive psychology. The next step is to anticipate the adversity. Anticipate the obstacles that will get in your way. So this is someone who studies positive psychology, and people go, what? Isn't it supposed to be all just optimism and everything's going to be okay? But based on the science, Gabrielle Oettingen, her research says that if you anticipate the adversity or the obstacles that will get in the way of you following that plan, you're much more likely to overcome that adversity, because psychologically you're already ready. You're like, I knew there was going to be some adversity along the way. And I thought about this, and now I have a contingency plan. So this is adding that little bit of realism, because that realism. And that's an important step to take. So you've got your plan, you've got your contingency plan. You already know the things that could potentially get in your way externally. And then I have people reflect internally. Right? Like, is there something internally? And then the last piece of the puzzle on brave action is ruthless planning, prioritization, and focus.
I like all of those.
So now you've got to like, what are you going to do tomorrow? And the next day? And the science really supports that the hardest thing that you have to do to move toward that goal, you should do first thing in the morning, where you've got the most cognitive resources. Like you've got, have you ever heard of like willpower is sometimes overrated? Like you've got the most willpower in the morning and it dissipates over the day. So do the hardest thing first thing in the morning.
Yeah. Two things that I picked up from what you were just mentioning. Number one is I really love the focus on being intimately connected to your goal. So it really, your goal has to be, at least how I'm taking that statement is, my goal needs to be intimately aligned with who I am at my core.
Yes.
So this is a beautiful exercise in not just developing courage or bravery, but also reconnecting with yourself to discover actually where do I actually need to be more brave, right? Fear aside up here, right? Where in my core, in my being, do I actually need to make a change? And I really love the practice of that, right? Because it's a very intentional way to curate courage and bravery. And I think to your earlier point, sometimes, oh, just be brave, just be courageous, just do the thing, you know? And I love that you're coming back and saying, yeah, do the thing. But there is a real internal audit that you have to do to decide the origin of your bravery.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think that's super important.
You're right. It goes into meaning. And in positive psychology, Marty Seligman, the father of positive psychology, said there's 5 things that contribute to our happiness and well-being, and it's an acronym PERMA. Have you heard of it? PERMA. So P stands for positive emotions. We've talked about that, right?
Yeah.
The E stands for engagement, which comes from Csikszentmihalyi, who wrote a book called Flow, that everyone knows Flow. So, you know, kind of being on that, finding the thing that you do that you enjoy, that you want to be challenged with. So Flow. The third thing is our relationships. We'll get to that in a moment. The M is meaning. And that's exactly what we're talking about. If it's not meaningful, like you're not going to be able to step into your fear, overcome your fear, unless it's really important and aligned with your values.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not just something I want, something that actually I need.
Yeah.
Something I need to be more courageous and brave, and that's going to actually elevate from the inside out. Yeah. I really appreciate that. Okay. Take me through the practice, I guess, of these things. Now we've been through this audit. We're putting actionable steps in place for something that we're going to do the next day. How do we stay motivated on our path to being brave?
Well, whatever you've written in terms of your goal, as long as it's meaningful, you want to write the goal in a way where it inspires you. Because, you know, when people write goals about making money, that's where I sometimes have to go, whoa. Like, so what is the reason for wanting to earn a certain amount? Like, it's got to be something that's more important than just something that would be extrinsic, like something outside. It's got to be something intrinsic. So I really challenge people to make sure that the goal is written in a way where it's intrinsically motivating. So if maybe there's someone that supports their family, maybe someone, you know, is the primary earner for their family. So what their goal is really about providing security for their family long term.
Yeah.
So, you know, each day when you've got to get up and you've got to do the hard thing, like looking at the goal and saying, this is for the security of my family. And even though I don't feel like it and I want to press snooze and I would rather just scroll on my phone and not get to work, it's going to motivate you to, you know, get up and take that action. So, you know, when we write the goals, we don't just write it and then put it on a shelf. We keep them front and center. And there's just the reflection that we do of, you know, each week you think about, you look at your goals, you plan your week, you do your ruthless planning, prioritization, and focus, and you just keep your eye on that goal. And that helps people stay motivated. And, you know, I hear a lot of people say, like David Goggins, the famous Navy SEAL, I just had the pleasure of meeting him like 5 days ago for the first time. But, you know, he goes, motivation is overrated. Like, you know, when you wake up, or Mel Robbins, we were talking about Mel Robbins, we're a big fan, you know, I love how she's just like such an open book. And
she just says it. She just says it.
Yeah. The alarm went off this morning and to get up to work out, and I did not want to do it. I was not motivated, but I got up and did it. And Ethan Kross, who wrote a book called Chatter, he's got this great technique, and I use this all the time. So when I wake up and I don't feel motivated, he says, do mental time travel and ask your future self, maybe your future self at the end of the day, and say, future self, what do you want me to do right now? It's such a motivating thing. You're like, you know, my 7 p.m. self wants me to get up and get the workout in before I go to work. So what an easy technique that you can do. Or what is my future self in a year from now tell me I should be doing right now in this moment? So sometimes you can just use that little cognitive technique to get your future self to motivate you on what you should do now.
Now, I love that, because every time you do that and you take action toward that, you are attaching yourself to a little more courage, a little more bravery to do that thing. And to your earlier point of like, bank up these experiences, because if you anticipate that you will want to hit the snooze button, right, every day for the next six months, when you know that you should be going to the gym, if you can plan for that and you know, I'm going to feel that way tomorrow. So what would my future self at 7 o'clock tomorrow night want to say to me about waking up at 6 a.m. to work out? Work out. I love that. So part of that anticipation is putting actionable steps in place so that you know what, exactly what you said earlier. You have a contingency plan, you've got a game plan, strategy to deal with that. I really appreciate that.
And if you do have an off day, you need to give yourself some grace.
Right.
And an important thing on that, and taking action too, is to focus on not just always the gap, but the gain. So it's sometimes really easy. It can be demotivating, especially for high achievers, to look at the goal that they have and say, I'm not there yet. And I'm so frustrated because I'm not there yet. So another really great technique to keep you motivated is to look at your gain, to look back and go, what are all the steps that I've taken? Like over this last month, I have worked out on average 4 days, a week. And I know my goal is 5, but look at how much progress I've made. So you got to give yourself kind of that own, look at how much progress you've made.
Celebrate the wins.
Celebrate the wins. So you've got that, that positive emotion. You see how these two things interact. So we talk about mindset first, but sometimes when you get up and do the hard thing, then you get this dopamine hit and you feel great, which causes positive emotion, right? So if you generate positive emotions, it kind of gets you motivated to do it. But when you just take a step and do it when you're not feeling like it, then you get the positive emotion. So these two things are symbiotic. It makes me think of, this example. It's actually in my book, but this is a real life example. Like my husband got a cold plunge. You done that cold plunge? It's like everyone's doing it. And I just did not.
I have not done a cold plunge. True confessions. I have not been brave enough to do that yet.
I'm like, who would want to do this? I'm like the person that I'm always cold anyway. Like I hate being cold. Why would I want to do that? And so my husband got it and kept kind of challenging me to do it. And finally, once, I think in front of my kids, I said, I'm going to do it. So then I'm like, okay, now once I say I do it, I've got to do it. And I didn't want to do it. I wasn't motivated, but I mean, my integrity was on the line. And I jumped in and I just did it. And I told myself I would stay in for, I think only like 45 seconds. It was not a very, challenging goal, but I just jumped in and did it. And when I got out, I was like, I just did that. And I jumped right, and I'm like, I can do a minute and a half. And I jumped in again. So you don't sometimes wait. People, if you wait until there's no fear, or you wait until you feel ready or confident, then you're probably never going to act. So just jump in and do it. And it's amazing how great you feel after you do something hard. Yeah. Right? Yeah. All those mornings when we go to the gym and work out and we didn't feel like it, but when we get done, how do you feel?
Yeah. Fulfilled.
We feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have the best day ever.
Yeah. It is interesting, that psychology of just leaning in to do the hard thing and not thinking about it too much, right? Because then we get into procrastination, which feeds negative thoughts, which feeds negative belief systems, which feeds the, I can't do this. Yeah. Right. Because now it's just too overwhelming. So it is a really beautiful thing to think about how much frustration you're saving yourself by literally just adopting this, process of saying, every day I'm going to do something that pushes me out of my comfort zone into an aligned place. Yes. Toward a goal that I want to achieve. And it doesn't, to your earlier point, it doesn't have to be monumental steps. Like sometimes all we can see is that we haven't progressed. And I love to, that mindset, growth mindset, celebrate the wins so that you can keep being motivated forward. Yeah.
You know what? I just want to add something. And, as you're talking about it, just made me think of when I've led people through this process, what happens when they start doing these things, their self-confidence, their self-belief, they've got pride in themselves. So the reason why I care so much about bravery is this happiness, well-being, like pride and self increases. And it's so beautiful to see, And this is where people think like, oh, if I want to just stay happy, I just want to stay in my comfort zone. I don't want to push myself. But you're like, no, when anything you really want is on the other side of something hard and challenging. If you just have a bias toward action and just do some hard things, like you're going to be so happy you did it. I don't think there's ever been a person where they've tried to accomplish something challenging and they look back and go, I wish I wouldn't have tried. I wish I would have just given up or not done that.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's super apparent when you talk about addiction and recovery. Like there's very few people, even, victims of childhood abuse, sexual abuse, trauma. I mean, the gamut, and you can think of all the things that could keep you suppressed and keep you in that negative self mindset, right?
Yeah.
And over and over and over again, you hear people say, I would never change the journey if it meant that I wouldn't be where I am today. And so, as a testament to your statement, the journey and the growth, it literally is on the other side. And what I love that you're doing is providing that bridge, like we mentioned earlier, between the inspiration and the actual feeling and doing that you have overcome something. Yeah. And so, when you think about your future self, that's the feeling that I get is, I'm going to look back at this and think, I overcame that. That's going to feel so good to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be so proud of myself, for doing that thing.
Yeah. And so you just went into something kind of deep there. And you read my bio, like I love Stoic philosophy too. So it's really not about accomplishing the goal.
No.
It's who you become
That's right.
on the journey.
That's right.
And when you choose to take that brave action, you transform yourself. So it's really not about the goal. It's about how you transform. And that's what leads to, that higher level of, life satisfaction, and this helps people avoid a life of regret. So many people are like, oh, I wish I would have taken that opportunity for that job. I wish I would have taken that trip. I wish I would have maybe introduced myself to that, to that person. And so many people, when they're on their deathbeds, that's what they say. I wish I would have. I wish I would have. I knew in my heart I should have.
Right.
But I didn't.
Yeah. Gosh. And I literally cannot think of anything a worse feeling than sitting there with the I should haves right all over me. I should have. Don't shit on yourself.
Don't shit on yourself. Don't shit on yourself.
But it's real. I love that. And the other thing too that I want to touch on because I think it's really important is comparison in this space. You said give yourself grace, but I think we're the hardest critics on ourselves in this journey of bravery and courage. And I think when we compare ourselves to other people who are succeeding or doing better, or look at them, they're able to connect with that person. They're able to, everyone that they talk to likes them. They're able to work out and build muscle in 2 weeks, whatever that is that you're comparing yourself to. I think, how do we battle comparison in this space so that we can continue to feel motivated ourselves?
Yeah. You're right. The comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
I have so many thoughts on this. I think the first thing that comes to mind is we need to really pay attention to what we focus on. Right? We are what we attend to. That's a William James quote, like father of psychology. Like we are what we attend to. So we should be we can look at others for inspiration. Like this other person went down this path and accomplished that. Like, wow, that's amazing. Like that inspires me to follow the same path. That's a good comparison. So I like that we can look at examples of others and be inspired by the impact they've had in the world and go, I want to do that. So I like that type of comparison. But when we're trying to achieve something and we're always looking at everyone else to the left and right and going, I haven't achieved as much as other people, and so I'm not doing enough, then that's where comparison can be very negative. So, we can look at examples to inspire us to do other things, but we just have to look at where am I now?
Yeah.
And what is something that I want to achieve that's challenging and meaningful? And when you make some progress toward that, like be so proud of yourself. And I feel like it's each step at a time. Like at least my experience too is you build momentum. Like, I never thought I'd be writing a book and on huge stages and being interviewed in podcasts literally all over the world to speak on the science of bravery. I never thought that was possible. But, I kept taking one brave step and the next brave step, and you just keep doing it and you build this momentum. So look at yourself, what is that one goal you want to set? And then keep your focus on yourself instead of always comparing your accomplishments to others. Because, whenever you compare your accomplishments and you're always going to find other people that do more. So if you're going to use that as a measuring stick, you're always going to be disappointed. So look at the gain that you've had and then always set that next goal for yourself.
Yeah. And what I really love about that too is that it still allows you to have, what it really does is open up the door for you to have an appreciation of somebody else's progress and gifts and success. And, there's, I love looking at houses. I love looking at other people's houses. I just love window shopping houses, right?
Houses.
Yeah, it's so fun. And I had a friend one time that said, why do you love doing that so much? And I said, because it's a way for me to appreciate what I don't have. It's a way for me to appreciate all the beautiful things that other people have been able to bring into their home and dream that one day that could be me.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever that looks like. And so I really value that mindset of looking at what everybody else is doing and the progress that they're making and being the cheerleader and the appreciator of that progress while still knowing that you're on your journey.
You're on your journey.
Doing your thing to the best of your ability. Yeah.
Well, and we'd be remiss if we just don't mention social media,
right?
Which is the one area where so many people look to, and that's where the comparison comes in. They feel like they're not good enough. So, I don't think using our phones or smart devices and social media is not bad, but it's about what are we really looking at? Our devices, even social media, can be powers of good, but just realize our brains are like an antenna. I was just on a group call with John Gordon, who's the gentleman who wrote the Power of Positive leadership and Power of Positive Teams and Energy Bus. And he used this analogy. So I just got to thank John Gordon for sharing that with me this morning because I'm going to use it here. He goes, your brain is like an antenna, and you have a control to tune into what you want. And so even with social media, follow positive influences that are inspiring, that are going to help nudge you toward being brave, people who are more self-help or positive. And if you're just following things that are more unhealthy comparison. So, as we use all the smart devices, in general, maybe limit the amount of time, but make sure that we're just bathing ourselves in all the positive influences to help us be braver and be our best selves, not the negative stuff.
So this brings up a really good point on social media, because I think we look at people who are unafraid to go against the grain and they put a message out, right? And it could be controversial, or it could be, something that's upsetting to somebody else, right? And I always debate on whether or not it's brave or bold, and if bold and brave are the same word. Just because you're willing to be the big voice, does that mean that you're actually a courageous person?
Yeah. Well, and as we dissect bravery too, there's bravado. Are people just trying to be look at me?
Right.
Right. And is that just self-serving? Right. So I am interested in helping people develop the bravery to get out of their comfort zone, to pursue those meaningful things, to make the biggest impact for themselves, their families, their community, or the world.
Yeah.
So more bravery to do good. Yeah. Not bravery, not just poking people to just upset people.
To stir the pot.
To stir the pot. Yeah. That is bravado, right? And that can go, so there's stupid bravery, and there's, that's just saying negative things on social media, when you don't actually have to face someone. Yes. That is just not constructive.
Yes. So, and I really appreciate that you said that, because it's really easy to be bold in a statement that you don't actually have to ever back up. Right. And I really appreciate that. What you're diving into is this, bravery requires you to take action. It requires you to go through the hero's journey, right? It requires you to do the hard work and really push yourself in a place where you have to internalize and do that audit and come back to connection and self and move forward in an authentic way, not just in like a bravado, capacity. And I think a lot of our social media users, our younger generations of social media users are very good at bravado.
Yeah. Just say something that, in fact, if I want the most reactions and the most likes, then I got to just say something that's like totally out there.
Right.
And it's not really to accomplish anything good. It's just to get reactions.
Yes. Yeah. And I think when you're actually in the spirit of bravery, for me anyway, and probably for you, I would assume, it's much quieter. It's a very quiet journey. Right? It's a very internal, quiet journey. I'm being brave in my growth. I'm being brave in my path. I'm being brave, which will consequently, if you do it right, open up doors for you that you didn't know were there before.
Yes. Absolutely.
And you inch your way there, right? Rather than just putting out this massive statement that says, I am a brave person. Look at me. I said this thing, right?
That's definitely not the bravery that I'm talking about in teaching. So I'm so glad you called that out. And even like when we look at other people's like opinions as well, and this kind of goes in the third dimension of bravery, is called brave relationships. Like, I think it's really good to care what other people, what their thoughts are and their advice and their help, but we should really be careful of whose opinion we're seeking, right? There's always going to be people that don't like you, don't approve of you, might say negative things, but what I care about doing is who are people that I respect,
right?
That I trust, that have knowledge and expertise in the area that I am. And then I care about their opinion.
Yeah.
Right? Like with my work and my book on bravery, like I went to people I respect that are experts in the field of bravery and the science of bravery and in positive psychology. And I brought my manuscript to them and said, I'd like you to read this. And I really want to get your opinion on what is resonating and things I should change to make it more accurate scientifically and to make it a better, parable to teach, so seek out the opinions of others, but you've got to curate the group of people that you're going to listen to. Because even like when it comes to bravery, like maybe like when I wanted to start my own company, right? And I had a reason for it. I was working in corporate America and I was traveling so much that I was never really around my kids. And I wanted to branch out and start my own company so I can control my own calendar. It was scary because I was leaving a corporate job with security and salary and benefits and company car and all those things, right? And I knew it's a step I needed to take, but there's a lot of people that have the purest intentions that told me like, don't do it. Don't do it. Like, oh, you need to stick in
because their fear.
Their fear. So this is where you almost have to look at, if this is the right step, who are people that have maybe they've taken a step to start their own business, that have done it successfully. Let me surround myself with the people who have gone down that brave path that I want to go down, and let me surround myself with those people because they're going to support me and help me be successful down that
the
path.
Mentorship of that is so important. I really appreciate that you bring in community in that space because it can feel lonely when you're trying to curate bravery for yourself. And I really appreciate that when you bring in a community of people that are like-minded. And we always hear that, find your tribe, right?
Find your tribe.
So significant.
It's so significant.
Find it. And maybe your tribe will change, over time. You'll seek out different people. But I think one of the most vulnerable things that you can do on your way to being brave, in my opinion, I'd love to hear yours, is to open the door to conversation about the goal that you're trying to achieve with somebody else. Like to be vulnerable in that space and say, I'm trying to achieve this thing and I'm going to share it with you because I believe that you're somebody that can help me achieve it. And having that community around you of people that will support you makes that whole process so much more beautiful and easy. So I really appreciate that.
I completely align with you, and the research supports it too, which is whenever you're setting a challenging goal, there's so much literature around social support, which is basically an academic word for asking for help. So sharing your goals with people who have especially been down the path, that know what it's like to go on that journey, to climb that mountain, to who's been there before, telling them like, I want to climb this mountain. You've climbed this mountain before. Here's my goal. Here's my plan to get there. Do you have any advice for me?
Yeah.
And so we don't need to purposefully trip and fall in certain things. We should learn from people who have gone down that path. And I think when it comes to bravery, people think of like, oh, to be brave is I can do it all on my own.
Right.
But to be brave is to be vulnerable and say that I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. Or can you give me some advice? That is being smart and it's being brave to be open and vulnerable.
I love that. Well, and you think about the hero's journey, and the hero is always collecting people along the way
the
that
mentors,
offer wisdom,
the wise,
right? That help point in the right direction and avoid the pitfalls here and do this. And so, I really value that. In fact, I just have some goosebumps because thinking about that process of aligning yourself with people who are of the same mindset and love and passion and who have already been vulnerable. So they understand that, right? And the hope is that when you share that, they respond in the same energy. I know that feeling. I've been there. The empathy for that journey is bigger.
Yeah. And the people that you ask for help, we assume sometimes like, oh, they're too busy. They're not going to want to help me. Like they would never want to help me. And sometimes we're intimidated because we want to do this thing, right? And they've been really successful, but they don't have time. They wouldn't want to help us. And that is an incorrect assumption.
Yeah.
So part of the bravery is identify people you look up to that have done it and reach out to them. And I know it's scary because you feel like they don't, but try to reach out to them, introduce yourself, try to, spend some time with them, and then share your goal and they're going to want to help you. Right. And so, like when I do keynotes, I often ask this question of the audience: how many of you love admitting you don't have all the answers or you need help? Right. And how many, raise your hand. And so maybe about a third of the audience, but it's pretty rare. Maybe a quarter of the audience will, and we'll just acknowledge it. Like a lot of times we have a hard time asking for help because it feels really uncomfortable. And then I ask the second question: how many of you enjoy helping others, mentoring others?
That's a great question.
Everyone raises their hand. And I go like, do you see the math here? Like if everyone, so people do enjoy actually helping you. So ask for the help. And then of course, always be looking for the person that you can help, so look for,
pay it forward.
Yeah. Pay it forward, because we get, the person that's actually helping others gets as much, if not a larger bump in our psychological well-being and our positive emotion than the person getting the help. So you're actually giving them a gift by giving them an opportunity to help you, because it feels so good for them to be able to give. So
I can testify to that for sure. I can give you an amen on that, because it is for me. Everything that you've said is in line with my own personal experience. So just as one person in the world trying consistent courageousness, I have learned over time that is the sweet spot. That is the sweet spot of being brave, is that you do open these doors for opportunities to give back, and it is reciprocal. And other people that are searching brave pathways will find you. You will be presented with the opportunities to give back to people because they see it in you. It's visible.
Exactly.
And I just want to say amen to that, because for me, that has been 100% true. Doors have been opened because I leaned in just a little, because I was vulnerable just a little, but also, Jill, coming all the way back to that authenticity, when you know the authentic goal that you are trying to achieve for your purpose, for your why, for your meaning, that energy, it is, you transfer that. People feel it. So they know that you're authentic. So they want to help. The motivation for the ask is everything. Right?
Yeah. If it's just true. Yeah. And it's funny because you were just saying like, you just know this to be true. So as I've done all the research in psychology, like I got to tell you, like nothing I share is really rocket science, because the same thing, here's what I discovered. So I go back to school, I get my master's in positive psychology at UPenn. And then I did my capstone in this area, these 3 different dimensions. And then it was after that I started reading like Stoic philosophy. And I'm like, everything I've written about, everything I've learned, they've been saying since ancient Greek times. Like, so it's all the same stuff. So it's like it's like ancient wisdom.
You found your tribe.
I found my tribe. And isn't that funny? So it's truth. They're fundamental truths.
Yeah.
And it's just reminding people.
Yeah.
And so now we have evidence. We have scientific, modern science that is now empirically tested what the Stoics have been talking for a long time, but now we know like little practical things that we can do to be able to get there. So, so what you've experienced is just, it's these universal truths.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing this work and bringing this, because it seems like it should be so simple, and then when you really get into it, the work of it, it is work. It is putting yourself in positions that are uncomfortable and feel challenging and hard. And so I really appreciate the opportunity that you're giving people to understand how to navigate something. And it's just one experience at a time, one goal at a time, one thing at a time, right? We don't need to get overwhelmed with the vision board. Just focus on the one thing on the vision board, right?
What is the one thing? What is the one thing? What's the one thing? And then if you do all three, if you believe that it's possible, you take the brave action, you do all that planning, and then you have people, surround yourself with a community to do it. Like, it's the combination of those three things, that will allow you to be able to achieve it. And then you're going to think of like, now what's the next goal that I want? Because then you're going to be craving, ooh, I want to do something more and better. And it's just, you just gain that momentum, and it helps people escape the comfort trap. Because I do feel like it's a trap. In fact, Marcus Aurelius said something similar to like, comfort is the worst addiction. Because if you're always seeking comfort, right, then you're less able to do hard things. And then it just is this vicious cycle and makes you weaker and weaker.
And then when the hard things come, you're completely unprepared for them. Completely. Yeah. I think, the best is baptism by fire, right? Like jump in, feel the heat. Like, let's go.
Exactly.
So what would you tell people about the link between bravery and resilience?
Great question. Well, to be resilient, you have to be brave. But what I'm really focused on teaching people is, if you want to be resilient, then learn how to develop a practice of bravery, or being brave, everyday little bravery. And that will make you more ready for the challenges that you may not expect in life. So I like to use the analogy of like a healthy body. Like, if you get in an accident or if you get sick, a healthy body, a healthy immune system is going to allow you to be able to overcome whatever injuries or whatever sickness that you have faster. So instead of just waiting to be brave when something happens and then you have to raise the occasion to be resilient. Like, I want people to be resilient and be able to respond to challenges and adversity in their life. But don't wait until that moment. Go seek discomfort, almost seek adversity, not bad adversity, but the good challenges. So it's just like that, work out your body, your immune system, be the healthiest so that you're ready for the things in life that physically might challenge your body. Same thing psychologically. Like, lean into discomfort, challenge yourself with things that matter. And when other things in life, when life happens to you, the things that are unexpected, you're going to be more able to be resilient in the face of it.
Yeah, I love that. I always go back to that banking word, like, just bank it up, right?
Bank it up.
Put it in the bank. Like, put a savings of resilient behaviors in place. So that way, when the adversity really comes,
you've got a
prepared.
good savings.
You can be brave. You can look at it and say, okay, we can do this. I can do that. We together, the challenge and me, we got this.
We got this. I can do this.
I can do it. Yeah. So where can we find more information out about your work? I'd love for people to purchase your book. I'd love for them to bring you on stage to speak about this. So where can we find you?
Well, my website's a great place to go.
Yeah.
It's just my name. So www.jillshulman.com. So that's easy. But the other thing is just, follow me on social media. Okay. The book is coming out early July. Okay. So more news to come on that.
Exciting.
Also on my website too, I've got a free bravery assessment. So, and then you get practical tools on what to do. So I'm just trying to give away a lot of free resources. Yeah. And then even what I've done for myself is, back to social media, if my message resonated, then please follow me, because I'm always going to be giving those little daily reminders. So when you are going and scrolling through Instagram, you've got those positive reinforcing message to support your bravery. So I try to do that for myself. Like, the people that have the whatever they have on social media that isn't helping me with my positive mindset, I unfollow them and I follow. So now when I go on Instagram,
it's just happy.
It's a positive intervention. Like I'm just like, I'm so fired up, right? So, they
You're like, my life is great.
Yeah, exactly. Just got to go through
Look at all these people that are inspiring me. I love it. So I love that. Well, and there's a reason that there's so many inspirational messages and quotes and videos. And I mean, this is the psychology, the science behind it is valid. It is real. And so please lean into that. If there's something that we could encourage you to do today, walking away from this interview, it's to surround yourself with things that tell you that you can.
You can do it.
That you can.
You can do it. Yeah, exactly.
Jill, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. And we'll make sure to put your website and the book title in the show notes so that people can figure out where to go to buy it at early July. So, thank you.
Thank you. This was so much fun to talk about this. And thanks for having me.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Refined Resilience. We hope you found inspiration in the stories shared and the small moments that remind us all of our strength. Remember, resilience is built not just in the big challenges we face, but in the everyday experiences that shape who we are. A special thanks to our sponsor, Build Then Bless, for making Refined Resilience possible. Until next time, remember, it's the small moments of resilience that make us great.